It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hey, Steph.
Hey, Gary. Happy Wednesday.
Yeah, happy Wednesday. It's rAVe TV Live, our weekly live TV show with Gary K and Steph Beckett. We are coming to you live on ravepubs.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and all the other places that we go. YouTube, yeah. So, yeah, we're excited to be here.
We are excited to be here. Gary, you are not in the office. You are not in your office at UNC. You're not at your house. Where are you?
I am in the U.S. territory known as Puerto Rico, and my daughter and I are doing the Puerto Rico Ironman triathlon this weekend. So we're hanging out here, checking in and doing all the things you have to do to get registered and get your bike ready, and just kind of hanging out waiting for the race.
Very cool. I did not even know that you were not here until like yesterday. I think.
Yeah. So you, we I don't know. I guess I didn't really put it on the schedule because I wanted to make a big deal about it. But yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. It's a logistical thing. Like the logistics in doing a triathlon in a place like this is difficult. Madeline was asking earlier if you
take your own bike, and I know that like you normally do when you do the one in like San Francisco, there's like a shipping service that ships your bike there for you. What do you do when it's in Puerto Rico?
Same service. Yeah, they do it internationally, and actually even though this is not technically international, they had to put it on, an airplane and fly it. It's interesting. It's actually no more expensive to do one here than it is to do San Francisco or Texas or anywhere else. They charge the same thing basically. But yeah, they pack up your bike and they ship it, and then when you go to pack it, they have this thing called packet pickup where you get your number and you get your like location where you set up your bike. Then they give you your bike, and then you make sure everything's working, make sure the chain's tight, make sure the gears are still working. You rack your bike, and then you come back the next day and race.
That's exciting. That's awesome. Well, good luck. Yeah. Wait, what day is the race technically?
Technically, the race is Sunday morning. It starts at, I think, 7 a.m. We jump in the water and should be done, if all goes well, by 2 p.m. Let's hope so.
What order is it? Is it swim?
Bike, run.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 1.5 mile swim, approximately. It's a 1.2 mile swim. It's a 56 mile bike and a 13 mile run.
What, a 56 mile bike? Is that like average? Is that always what that is?
Yeah, that's a half Ironman is the distance. A full Ironman's 112 miles, whatever 56 times 2 is. But yeah.
Well, I wish you luck with that. Could never be me. So good luck. I hope that you.
As long as I stay healthy, I'm just trying to stay masked and stay away from people. But there's a lot of people around here, so you never know. I could get unhealthy at the last minute. But I've got a little bit of a cough left over from my sinus infection. As you know, I had one last week, but cross your fingers.
Well, my fingers are crossed. You're going to do great. And so is Olivia. But I was like surprised that you're traveling this week, because next week is also going to be like a really travel heavy week for us. Which
in fact, I go straight from Puerto Rico the day after the race, fly to California. But I'm excited to go to California because the last place I presented pre-pandemic.
You there? Oh, we might be losing him.
March 6th was in California when they announced that we were having a. Oh, you lose me? Am I not here?
Yeah, you're like in and out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going back to California for the Almo E4 experience in Anaheim, and I'm excited to be going back. I'm keynoting that. So I fly literally the next day after triathlon straight to this, and then the day after that on Tuesday, next Tuesday. By the way, if you're in California, you should register. Just go to e4experience.com or go to our website.
Because there will be manufacturers there. There are, of course, going to be education sessions there. This is like a good opportunity for end users to come along with integrators to kind of check out all the technology that's available, and it's completely paid for. It's completely free. You just get to show up, you get a little breakfast, get a little lunch, get a little education, see a little technology. So, I mean, if you're in the area, like, why wouldn't you go?
Yeah, and people come all the way from San Diego, all the way from Northern California down to Anaheim. And then they go to Disney the next day.
Yeah, like that's like the perfect weekend or like week or whatever.
Weekend.
But yeah, so also next week is Enterprise Connect. So I know we've got a team going to Anaheim. We've got a team. Yes, and we've got a team going to Enterprise Connect. So I will be in Orlando next week because, you know, we always joke about how I end up going to Florida like 6 times every year on accident. And like this is just like the first of probably what will be 6 times. So
I think you secretly love it.
I do. I love Florida. The weather is going to be great. So yeah, it's going to be a fun couple days at Enterprise Connect. We're really looking forward to it. This is my first Enterprise Connect. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what this show is and getting to do some really great executive interviews. So if you are going to Enterprise Connect, do feel free to reach out to me. Let me know what you're showing at the show so that we can make sure that we get our team over there. Because, you know, we're definitely going to have a smaller team, but we are going to try our best to go to every booth. I know that's very difficult to do, but we're going to try.
Well, it's going to be a smaller show. I mean, there's only a few dozen manufacturers there, but Zoom and Teams are both going to be there, so that'll be big for the show to have both of them there. And Teams will show the new front row feature. So Steph, make sure you go see that where the remote participants are below the content.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah, so I definitely want to check that out and ask them about it and get a little demo of it for sure. I think that will.
I'm guessing
be a good
Zoom
thing.
Might introduce their competitor to that too. I'm guessing.
Oh, you think that would be cool to just have both of the competitor things presented at the show? But yeah. So we have a few lovely sponsors, partners that we do this show with, and we are very grateful to them. And one of those is rAVe. And we are going to show you guys Chief's proximity component storage slide lock panel. We're going to show you how that works really quick. So yeah, we talk about Legrand being like a very like glue company, like not only because they have multiple brands under them, but because they kind of make a little bit of everything. So another Legrand product that I wanted to talk about was their new Shading Systems Designer series of decorative brackets. Like these are now shipping as well. And I guess I forgot all of everything that Legrand makes because I was like, oh yeah, they do make shades too. I forgot about that. So yeah, these are just
it's another market that the integrators could get into. Like you're inside of a meeting room, and why not sell the furniture? Why not sell the shades? Why not sell the lighting?
Yeah. If you can do it and do it right.
And what's interesting is I'm working on a podcast series on meeting equity, which will come out in a couple of weeks.
We've been talking about that.
I've interviewed. Yeah, and one of the interviews I had was with Scott Walker, and he talked about how important it is that AV companies go into the room and take control of every piece of the room, because with remote and local participants, when everybody was in the office, you didn't have to worry about the shades, you didn't have to worry about the lighting as much, because everyone was in the same environment. When you have people joining remotely, all of a sudden you have to worry about these things that the people inside the room don't have to worry about, like the acoustics, right? They can all hear each other because they're sitting there. So he talked about it from that standpoint, but also talked about how this is an opportunity for us to add more services to meeting rooms. And that's one of those could be shades.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And they have, I think, 15 different finish styles across 3 different collections. So they have, you know, whatever the decor is, they have something that tries to match. So it's very cool. Something else I wanted to talk about, we have a new blog squatter on the team. This is Carter Music. This is someone that Madeline has known since she was a kid, and he wrote his article. He works in the House of Worship space, and he wrote about kind of I had never heard someone call AV AVL, which is like audiovisual lighting, and he talks
there's
about
a whole show. There's actually a show called AVL in Europe. But yeah. When they bundle the lighting together and lighting design, and
which
especially live events.
Lighting's important. Yeah. So he talks about like when houses of worship, you know, tend to get a bucket of money and figuring out what to spend that on and figuring out how to conduct a proper needs assessment so that you can spend it on the right things. So it's a very good article. It's very useful if you work in the house of worship space and you're kind of running into the same things. So I wanted to welcome him to the squad, and I am looking forward to seeing more from him because it's really awesome.
And Madeline, his friend Madeline, is the one who behind the scenes makes rAVe TV happen.
Yeah, exactly. So I also want to thank her for that recommendation, because I'm always looking for new members of the blog squad also. So I'll go ahead and add a little plug here. If you are someone who has a lot of thoughts and a lot of opinions and who has been in the AV industry like for a little while at least, even if you are not a super strong writer or you don't consider yourself a strong writer, like I would love to hear from you. I would love to add you to our blog squad. I'm always looking to add more people. So do feel free to send me a little email. You can contact me, Steph@ravepubs.com. Thank you.
Speaking of hear from you, how's that transition to Shure? One of our sponsors is Shure, and they make
that's these lovely microphones. Yes. And so we are going to show you a quick video from them about their partnership with Logitech.
Do you notice the excitement in my voice? Can you see the subtle smile on my face? As humans, the words we say and how we say them are at the heart of how we communicate. And for effortless communication, distance shouldn't be an obstacle. Shure and Logitech have teamed to pair top-of-the-line audio with premium video and make sure everything you communicate is being communicated. Discover the harmony of Shure and Logitech. Effortless meetings at any distance.
Sorry,
it wasn't that funny.
It was funny because every time you cough, you're like, "Oh, I just know I'm getting sick." I'm like, "It's allergy season." I was just laughing about how you're just kind of a hypochondriac.
Well, I told Steph behind the scenes I can't watch medical shows anymore because I have everything they show on there. And she's like, "You're a hypochondriac." I'm like, "Of course I admit I'm a hypochondriac. I'm not gonna deny that."
But like, I think that you're just like always convinced that like anytime you get sick, you're like, "This is the end. Like, goodbye, team."
They might as well pick me up. Might as well pick me up on the ambulance and take me because it's the end.
Yes, every time you talk about like, you know, when I kick the bucket, and I'm like, you're fine. You are literally the healthiest man that I know.
I have to have a transition plan, and Steph is part of that plan. Okay.
Thank God.
Hey, there you go. AV is more than the sum of its parts. What the heck does that mean, Steph?
So basically, you know how when everyone talks about how something is more than the sum of its parts, it's kind of like AV is more than. So when you think of an AV setup, it's like camera, okay, audio, this, that. It's AV is making all of that into an experience together. It's more than a camera. It's more than audio. It's more than proper lighting. It's all about kind of how you use these to create an experience. And a good example that Mark uses is the new functionality on Microsoft Teams that I will be seeing at Enterprise Connect, the front row for Teams. So he's talking about like, yeah, if you're looking at someone from the left side on this view, your audio should be coming in from the left side as well. Like, we're trying to make this an experience. And he talks about how like a bad use case of that was this like ride on at some theme park, and how it should have been great, and how they kind of just only thought of each part. And because they only thought of each part instead of thinking about how it should work all together, they like didn't, on the paper, it just like it made sense, but then the G-force didn't quite work. So when people rode this, they were getting sick because they only thought about like, oh, audio, oh, this, like, instead of thinking about how it should all work together. So it's
Why
just
were
like
they
a very
sick?
good.
What was the deal with them getting sick? Did he say?
It was the secret. He says it's like, let me look. The visual and kinetic input was like, it was your brain was processing visual and kinetic at the same time, but because these two things like weren't created to go together, because they'd only been like visual thing, kinetic thing, like they didn't match up properly, and so people's brains like couldn't figure it out, so they were getting really dizzy and then getting sick.
Okay.
Because your brain, like, you were looking at something that didn't go with how it was moving, and it was like making people really off kilter. So it's interesting, right?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah, I mean, Mark is great about that kind of stuff, like covering sort of like a AV holistically rather than component wise.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
There's a case study I wrote up. I know you love case studies, Steph. About
I do.
The Dallas Holocaust and Human Rights Museum. The reason why I really like this, Extron provided all the gear for that. What I like about it is that museum, Cinemark, the theater company, actually put in a full-fledged movie theater inside of it specifically for the museum, which means that it's not like just like a part-time movie or kind of like, you know, hey, let's throw a screen together with some audio. They put a fully functional movie theater in there, and you can actually, you know, you can click on the full case study on the Extron website through our site at ravepubs.com, and you can see a bunch of pictures of it. But the whole thing was deployed using the Extron DTP system. They talk about how all this came together as a very high-end cinema quality movie theater experience inside of a museum, and it's actually run by a movie theater chain, Cinemark, which is very popular in the Dallas area. So yeah, it's cool because, you know, this is pro audio, pro video, but also cinema level quality install. So it's a kind of a mesh between the commercial and the high end residential.
Yeah, it is, which is always interesting because like you like to bring up movie theaters a lot in AV, and I don't think that that's something that's like talked about that often, even though it should be.
Yeah, and since this is a fully functional theater, I mean, they'll, you know, as a fundraiser, they'll rent it out. Yeah, Cinemark runs the whole thing for them, and it's for a good cause. It's the Dallas Holocaust and Human Rights Museum, which recently just reopened. So you can go down there and see it next time you're in Dallas, and of course you can check out that story at ravepubs.com.
Because CEDIA is going to be in Dallas this year, right? I think that's what I read somewhere.
Oh, that's right. It is. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Maybe we could take a team field trip to go see this after
have an event there. They should have an event there is what they should do. That'd be a great place for an event. Yeah.
Well, why don't they just hire us as planners? Like, we would just have this on lock.
Not me. You're good at planning.
All right. Well, I know we are skipping out of here a little bit early, but I know you've got a busy day ahead, and Madeline does too, and I do too, since I'm flying out Monday. So we're just trying to stay afloat for the rest of the week.
Well, I appreciate you hanging in there and holding down the fort, Steph. We got lots of good feedback from our viewers. We appreciate everyone watching this every week, and of course, we do this every Wednesday at noon live. This is actually live.
Yeah. Oh, and that's nice. Chris Flanagan from Biamp said, "Hey, come see us at Enterprise Connect. So
there you go.
Yeah, very cool. So I will do my best. I'm gonna make lots of trips around the show floor and just see everybody that I can. But all right, I'm looking forward to it. rAVe TV, I'm assuming I'll be back in time to just do it from the office next week, but we'll see. Where in the world is
I'll do it from Disneyland if I can get in. I'll do it from Disneyland.
Yeah, you never know where we're gonna come from. Just know that we will be here at noon Eastern.
All right. See you later, Steph.
Bye.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary.